Hey everyone, welcome to PC Perspective. I'm Ryan Schrout. Around the offices, we have the need to keep a lot of phones, tablets, and other USB-based devices fully charged at all times. And last year, that led us in the direction of trying to find a solution for it. At one point, we tried like a 20-port USB hub. It didn't work. We ended up settling and finding this Anker device here. This is actually a 5-port, 25-watt charger, wall charger. It did a pretty good job. It had very specific maximum amperage outputs on the front, which worked okay, but we were looking for some more upgraded options, and we got in touch with our friends over at Anker, and we had two different varieties that we're going to talk to you about here today. One is an upgrade to the 5-port charger. That is the Anker 40-watt 5-port USB wall charger, so 40 watts, an increase there. It also introduces the idea of smart ports, which we'll talk about in a second. And then we also have a 2nd-gen Astro 3. This is actually an external battery. It's not a wall charger. It's an external 12,000 milliamp hour battery. So what we wanted to do is walk through basically what you get with those, how they differ, and what our experiences were with using them here in the office. So first we'll go ahead and start with the Anker 40-watt 5-port USB wall charger you can see here. Anker does a really good job of packaging and manufacturing and keeping everything really nice looking. They feel like high-end devices. The directions are usually very, very informative, give you a lot of good information, including your max outputs, charging ports, sizes, all that kind of thing. So here we have the actual wall charger itself. You can see there are 5 USB ports and then the plug for the wall adapter here on the back. Again, this is 40 watts, so we're talking 8 amps total at 5 volts. 8 amps total between the 5 ports. We'll talk about that in a second. Also in the box, you do get the wall power cable, as you would expect, and then some more warranty and instruction information there. Simple, plug it in here, plug this into the wall, and plug in your devices here, and you're off and running. Now this is simply a wall charger. You don't actually get to, there's no external battery or anything like that, but the benefit of this is that you have up to 8 amps per port. If you only have one single device plugged in, you can actually run this at 8 amps. Now we don't have any devices that require 8 amps or that will actually draw 8 amps, but it's nice to know that that option is there if it's available. What it does mean is that things like the iPad that can draw more than 2 amps over a USB port will be able to do that. In our testing, the iPad, through the testing of our PortaPal that you see here, drew 2.3 amps when plugged in individually to the Anker 40-watt 5-port USB wall charger. Now we also did some tests where we plugged in 5 different devices to it to see how amperage and output were affected. We attached the iPad Air, a Nexus 5, 2 NVIDIA Shields, and a Samsung tablet as well. All of those drawing various amounts of power. The Shields were like 1.85 amps. The iPad was 2.3. The Samsung was 1.65. The good news is, even with all 5 ports populated, we were able to show the iPad Air drawing still the same 2.3 amps from the wall. That's great. That means your charging times are going to not be affected with standard device connectivity, and that's good news. This is relatively inexpensive as well. I think you can find it for like $30 on Amazon. This is a great part. Now the other device we got in was the 2nd-gen Astro 3 external battery. It has a similar idea to it, but it is not a wall charger. It's a battery that you can take with you on the run. So if you open up here, you get a little carrying case there, you get some warranty information, and then you get the device itself. It's obviously larger, it's quite a bit heavier. This unit, you can see this is your light up battery indicator. You can see what capacity the battery is charged at. You've got 3 USB ports here and a USB input. So you actually charge it through a micro USB, and then you have 3 outputs for that. Now in the box, the only thing you get other than the battery itself is a USB cable. You don't actually get a wall adapter for this, right? So if you want to charge this, you'll plug this in here, and then you'll have to have your own wall adapter. And that's a little bit disappointing, but it's not completely we've seen that with other external batteries before. So what you'll do is you plug it in and you get this is a 4 amp maximum output, so 20 watts, 5 volts each. And that is actually worked pretty well. The iPad drew just over 2 amps, 2.05 amps from this. The Shield was a little bit lower at 1.76 amps. When we populated all three with the Shield, a Samsung device, and the iPad, we actually saw that drop to about 1.84 amps on the iPad. So you did lose a little bit of the power output when all three of these were populated. One thing to be concerned about with this is the charging time. Because it's such a large battery, they recommend, well, they're estimating that with a 2 amp wall port, right? So if you have a 2 amp output wall adapter that you use to charge the battery with, you're talking 6 to 7 hours to charge it. If it's a 1.5 amp adapter, 8 to 9 hours, and if you have a 1 amp adapter, 11 to 12 hours. So it will take a significant amount of time to charge this. Now this unit is pretty unique. I like the LED indicator here for capacity. You give it a little shake and it will tell you what that is. Also, if you plug in a device, it will give you an idea of how much battery is left. It'll have a little animation to it. You don't have to worry about, one thing that I was kind of concerned was, are those lights, if you have this in your bag, going to constantly be going on and off? The manual says that 100,000 light ups of these LEDs is only worth about 1% of the battery's capacity, which is good to know. I would say that these two devices obviously are serving different purposes. We have our wall charger here and we have our battery here. This one is one we're going to use in the office. We're going to have tablets and phones constantly hooked up to it here. This is one I'll take on my work trips, to make sure we have no issues with batteries or wireless modems, hotspots running out of juice. This will be able to power all of those devices. And as I said, they're relatively inexpensive. I think this is $30 and this is $50. So you are paying a little bit more for this, and you do have to have your own wall adapter for the USB cable, which is a little bit of a letdown, but I think anybody that's going to be considering a 12,000 milliamp hour external battery will likely have one of those. Check the links in either the article at PCPer.com or in the video show notes, the video description here for links to Amazon where you can find these. Overall, I have to say this is our second great experience with Anker products, and they've been pretty successful devices. Thanks, guys.